Erica and Brad, a man and woman, were seriously injured in this shooting, but their friend, a rising Chicago rapper, did not survive. Chicago police do not have anyone in custody. They're hoping to talk to the two people recovering here at Northwestern to help shed some light on the investigation, but they will get some help from the many surveillance cameras that are located in the Gold Coast area.
Friends say it was a Chicago rapper who was gunned down here on one of Chicago's ritziest streets. They say 2 other people were also shot when 4 gunmen, witnesses say, jumped out of cars and fired from just a few feet away. 2 other people are still being treated for gunshot wounds, a man and a female, while police are looking for as many as 4 gunmen they say got away from the scene in 2 different cars. Tonight, detectives are poring over surveillance video from the various stores along this block.
August 4th, 2020. A Tuesday afternoon that started like any other would end in tragedy that shocked an entire city. 26-year-old Carlton Weekly, known to millions as FBG Duck, had no clue that a simple shopping trip would become the final hours of his life. His single slide had exploded to over 53 million views on YouTube. He was young, talented, and finally seeing his dreams materialize. That afternoon, he was doing something beautifully ordinary, shopping for a gift for his son in Chicago's upscale Gold Coast neighborhood. His mother would later reveal the heartbreaking detail that Duck was looking for something special, a present that would show his love. He would never get the chance to give it. At 4:10 p.m., Duck stepped out of a car driven by his girlfriend onto the first block of East Oak Street, one of Chicago's most prestigious addresses. Dolce & Gabbana, Tom Ford, high-end boutiques lined the streets where wealthy shoppers strolled without a care. It was a beautiful summer day. Sidewalks were bustling with people enjoying the luxury district. Duck joined a line outside one of the stores, blending into the crowd. He had every reason to feel optimistic. His music career was ascending. He had a family he cherished. The fruits of his labor were finally within reach. But somewhere in the shadows, predators were already watching, and the clock was ticking down to something horrific. At approximately 4:37 p.m., 2 vehicles pulled up near the shopping area where FBG Duck and his group were standing. What happened next occurred in seconds, but would be replayed in news reports and security footage for months to come. 4 armed men emerged from the vehicles and immediately opened fire on Duck and his companions. The shooting was execution style, brazen and calculated. The shooters didn't care about the location, the witnesses, or the consequences. They had one target, FBG Duck. Bullets tore through the air as shoppers screamed and ran for cover. Duck tried to flee, running between parked cars, but the shooters pursued him relentlessly, firing at close range. Duck was hit multiple times, including in his chest, back, and groin. His girlfriend was also struck, suffering injuries, but ultimately surviving. Another man in Duck's group was wounded as well. The entire attack lasted less than 2 minutes before the shooters jumped back into their vehicles and sped away, leaving chaos and blood on one of Chicago's most famous streets. Within minutes, Chicago police and fire department units flooded the scene. Emergency responders found FBG Duck lying on the sidewalk, critically wounded and struggling to breathe. Paramedics immediately began life-saving measures, working frantically to stabilize him for transport. The scene was chaotic.
Those bullets killed FBG Duck and also injured this woman who police say was with the rapper along with a 3rd man. The shooting in the Gold Coast left so many baffled.
It was real crazy that would happen right here in this area, out of nowhere. It was quiet and peaceful and shopping going on, then shots rang out.
CPD insisting this was not a random crime. The investigation reveals the gunman waited on the rapper and his friends to exit the store before shooting. The rapper died soon later at Northwestern Hospital. The afternoon shooting shook many, believed so many to realize the city's gun violence has no zip code.
You know, the fact that this is Oak Street doesn't mean that this is a safe haven.
Security from nearby stores, and shocked tourists, all watching as medics fought to save the young rapper's life. Duck was rushed to Northwestern Memorial Hospital, one of the city's premier trauma centers located just minutes from the shooting scene. Doctors and surgeons immediately took him into emergency surgery, working to repair the catastrophic damage caused by multiple gunshot wounds. His family was notified and rushed to the hospital, praying for a miracle. For hours, Duck fought for his life as medical teams worked tirelessly. His mother, Lashina, sat in the waiting room surrounded by family and friends, all hoping that her son would somehow pull through. Social media erupted with rumors, speculation, and prayers as word of the shooting spread through Chicago's hip-hop community. Chicago police immediately launched a massive investigation into the murder. Security footage from dozens of cameras in the Gold Coast area captured the shooting from multiple angles. The footage was clear. This was a planned hit, not a random act of violence. The shooters had tracked Duck's location, waited for the right moment, and executed their plan with military precision. Investigators began piecing together the timeline of events. How did the shooters know Duck would be there? Had they been following him? Was there inside information? The Gold Coast wasn't a place Duck frequented regularly, making the timing of the attack even more suspicious. Police worked with federal partners, recognizing that this case involved gang activity that crossed jurisdictional lines and potentially state borders. The two vehicles used in the shooting were quickly identified. One was found abandoned and burned in a nearby neighborhood, a common tactic to destroy evidence. The other vehicle's license plate had been captured on camera, providing investigators with a crucial lead. Cell phone records, surveillance footage, and witness statements began to paint a picture of a conspiracy that involved multiple individuals planning and executing Duck's murder.
You heard the news that Duck got killed. What did you think?
When I heard the news that Duck got killed, I was pissed. The reason why I was pissed is because I seen Teasy. I seen, before Duck got killed, I seen Crack on live. Right before Duck got killed, Crack was on live. Like, it's about to be Duck sauce all over downtown. I'm on that motherfucker arguing with Crack as Duck getting killed. On everything, I was on there arguing with him. Like, bro, used to be over there with Duck. Like, y'all from the low end, bro. Y'all from where Duck and them family from, bro. Like, y'all weird. That shit was weird to me, man. That shit was...
As weeks turned into months, the investigation into FBG Duck's murder expanded significantly. Federal authorities, including the FBI and ATF, joined Chicago police in what was becoming a major RICO, racketeer-influenced and corrupt organizations, case. Investigators weren't just looking at Duck's murder in isolation. They were building a comprehensive case against an entire criminal enterprise. Phone records revealed extensive communication between suspected gang members in the hours before and after the shooting. GPS data placed certain individuals in the vicinity of the Gold Coast at the time of the murder. Financial records showed suspicious transactions. The investigation was meticulous, building a case that would stand up in federal court and potentially put the suspects away for life. Witnesses were interviewed, though getting cooperation was difficult. In Chicago's gang culture, talking to police was seen as the ultimate betrayal, and potential witnesses feared retaliation. Investigators offered protection and incentives, slowly building a network of information that corroborated what they were finding through electronic evidence and surveillance footage. In October 2021, over a year after FBG Duck's murder, federal authorities announced a major breakthrough.
5 people are now charged with the deadly and brazen Gold Coast shooting of rapper FBG Duck. Let's get details. Nate Rogers is live outside the Dirksen's Federal Building to tell us what's happening. Nate?
That's right, guys. That press conference just wrapping up within the last couple of hours. The rapper Carlton, also known as FBG Duck, of course, was killed last year. Law enforcement members say the suspects are allegedly a part of the O Block gang. Now, local and federal officials held a press conference just a couple of hours ago announcing the federal indictment. Law enforcement leaders say the O Block gang publicly claimed responsibility for the rapper's death and used social social media to increase their criminal enterprise.
5 individuals were arrested and charged in connection with Duck's killing. The suspects, all affiliated with Opp and the Black Disciples gang, faced federal murder and racketeering charges that carried potential life sentences or even the death penalty. The arrested individuals were identified as Charles Liggins, Kenneth Roberson, Carlos Offord, Christopher Thomas, and Marcus Smart. According to the indictment, these men had planned and executed the murder as part of ongoing gang warfare between Opp and STL/FBG. The charges alleged that the suspects had tracked Duck's location through social media, coordinated the attack via phone and messaging apps, and carried out the shooting in broad daylight with complete disregard for public safety. The arrest brought a measure of relief to Duck's family and supporters, but also raised questions about how long it took to apprehend the suspects. Over a year had passed, during which the accused had remained free despite evidence allegedly linking them to one of Chicago's most publicized murders. The delay highlighted the complexity of building a federal case and the challenges of prosecuting gang-related violence. While the legal proceedings unfolded, FBG Duck's music continued to resonate with fans. Streaming numbers for his songs increased dramatically after his death, with tracks like Slide, Chicago Legends, and Dead Bitches accumulating tens of millions of additional plays. Posthumous releases and previously unreleased tracks were shared by his estate, giving fans new material while keeping his memory alive. Duck's impact on drill music was undeniable. His deep voice, aggressive delivery, and unflinching honesty about street life influenced a generation of younger rappers. He represented authenticity in a genre where credibility was everything. Even those who criticized his controversial lyrics acknowledged his talent and his importance to Chicago's hip-hop scene. But Duck's legacy was complicated. Some saw him as a martyr, a talented artist whose life was cut short by senseless violence. Others viewed him as someone whose music perpetuated the very beefs that killed him, whose diss tracks and provocative lyrics added fuel to deadly conflicts. The truth, as with most things, lay somewhere in between. What was certain was that FBG Duck's story exemplified the tragedy of Chicago's gang violence. He was someone with genuine talent, someone who could have escaped the streets through his music, but who remained tied to the conflicts of his youth until they ultimately claimed his life. His death became a cautionary tale about the dangers of drill music's authenticity, about the fine line between artistic expression and real-world consequences. In the years since FBG Duck's murder, Chicago's gang violence has continued largely unabated. The convictions in Duck's case provided a template for using federal RICO charges against street gangs, and prosecutors have pursued similar cases against other criminal organizations. But the fundamental conditions that create gang violence, poverty, lack of opportunity, systemic inequality, remain largely unchanged. The drill music scene has evolved, but hasn't disappeared. New artists have emerged, some learning from the tragedies of their predecessors, others seemingly determined to repeat the same mistakes. Social media's role in amplifying beefs has become even more pronounced, with platforms struggling to balance free expression against their responsibility not to facilitate real-world violence. King Von, one of Duck's primary rivals in the Opp camp, was himself killed in Atlanta in November 2020, just months after Duck's death.